you are the co-founder of The Saver, which is an amazing platform. I was very impressed when I saw it. How much money did your clients save on energy?
What is one of the biggest problems you see in this real estate market? Energy efficiency within buildings. People didn't know that there was a problem. So I think that's always very important. You need to have a clear problem and not build something for yourself, but build something, of course, for the people that will use it. So you can see where in the building energy is being lost, how a building is being used. When we want to make changes, we can make them from this online environment. Every industry, we need to look at AI. What we do with AI, there are different things. Of course, it helps with programming nowadays. You don't want a building management system to make its own decisions and just steer because it thinks it makes the right choices.
You all of a sudden switch off the whole building.
Exactly. You're sitting in the cold because AI thinks this is more efficient. Yeah,
You're
that's
not doing anything.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's not what you want to happen.
Yeah.
But it does constantly give suggestions for us.
Well, thanks God. Problem solved. Welcome to ICA Consulting, an international business consultancy with head office in London. We provide relevant services ranging from financial compliance to education advisory to help your businesses and yourself to grow and develop at speed you prefer, supporting you with our extensive expertise and connecting you with our network and making sure that everything is aligned for your success. Please feel free to join our network and connect with us via our website. Our guest today is the successful entrepreneur and a partner in Saver Netherlands, Ole Kramer. Hi Ole, welcome to the ICA podcast. How are you today?
I'm very well, thank you. How are you?
Good, thank you.
Excited to be here.
We know a lot of things about Ole. Google doesn't know so much as we do.
Not yet.
Not yet, but we're getting there. Can you just tell us a bit of your journey? How did you start with the entrepreneurship? Because we know that you also have the other endeavor that you just sold, which is Newborn in Netherlands. And now you're off to another adventure called Saver. How did you become this entrepreneur and what made you do those things?
From a young age, I was always already looking at creating small businesses, small solutions and stuff like that. Definitely also comes from my parents. My mom also had her own company, so I always saw how those things went, the freedom it gave, sometimes also the stress it gave. I definitely wanted to learn more about it. So that's why I first studied business administration for my bachelor. Then afterwards did my master's in international business and an MBA. And while I was doing my master's, we needed to, for our thesis, write a business plan. I was writing it together with two other people, and we wanted to do something with circular economy. We looked at a product that was always still in a good state before you throw it away, and we came to baby clothes. Now I don't have any children yet, so it was a little bit far from my bachelor at the start. But I just saw that there was a huge possibility there, because in the old way that we would buy clothes and maybe pass them on to people that you know, but also just throw a lot away. I saw that there was a lot of trash there that wasn't necessary.
Yeah, definitely helping with sustainability aspect
For
of
sure.
the life.
Yeah, for sure. So most of the times these products were still in a good state. So what we did was we created an application where you could buy and sell secondhand baby clothes. And while you would do that, also earn loyalty points, and with those loyalty points, get discounts at different sustainable companies.
Nice.
Yeah, so we would
Very
help these
disciplined.
smaller companies to grow and reach their target market, and then at the same time have an incentive for parents to buy and sell secondhand. It was the first real company that I started, so we really needed to learn a lot. But it was definitely a great experience where we built it up in Austria, because Vinted wasn't big there yet. And we did realize after doing market research that they were looking for a solution for this problem.
Excellent.
So I think that's always very important. You need to have a clear problem and not build something for yourself, but build something, of course, for the people that will use it.
Well, thanks God, problem solved. At least for one market in Austria.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, we worked on that, but I was mostly working online, and for me, I realized that yeah, that was difficult for me. I needed to really be there, but I wanted to still live in the Netherlands.
Mm.
So we were first thinking of maybe taking the company to the Netherlands, but after doing the market research there, we realized that the solutions were already there. So they didn't need our solution. So then I told my co-founder that I was thinking of yeah, then maybe stopping my venture there. What was of course a very difficult decision,
Yeah, I can imagine.
because you put so much time and effort in there.
It's almost your baby, and you
Yeah, like
need
you
to
really
make
wanted it, or wanted to see it succeed and do everything about it. But at a certain point, I just realized I couldn't motivate myself enough anymore to put that 60 hours in. So at that point, I said to my co-founder, I think it's time for me to say goodbye.
Mhm.
So I made a small exit there, and the company is still doing great. It's only growing bigger and bigger, winning prizes. So that's really nice. And the solution is working, so I'm really impressed with how they continued with the business.
Mhm.
For me, it's now time for a new business, something completely different, but also very exciting. So yeah, now we're at Saver.
At this point of time, you are the co-founder of the Saver, which is an amazing platform. I was very impressed when I saw it, and I gotta admit, like this level of fidelity of the building management system is just incredible. How did you come up with that? Like, what was the journey of the team? How did they create this product?
At a certain point, when I realized I'm gonna start a new business, two of my close friends from high school, Sam Spendel and Menno Elsinga, had a company in making buildings more sustainable for owner associations. So they saw that when you have an owner association, it's always difficult to make sustainable choices because there are different parties involved that have different ideas. And they created a great company around that to really help them to make it easy choices, help with the process, and also in the different levels, make it as easy as possible to make these sustainable choices, and also for the owners, yeah, have great benefits.
Yeah, what kind of benefits are they?
Yeah, so for this particular type, the owners association, if they wanted to create new sustainable choices, there are in the Netherlands a lot of different loans that you can take out. So they would help with arranging the loans, but then also help in the different processes afterwards. So with installments of sun panels, with making the right choices within the building. So when I decided then to start a new business, I immediately called them up and I asked them, what is one of the biggest problems you see in this real estate market at this point? Where do you say the pain points are? They immediately went to energy efficiency within buildings. So I did half a year of market research. I looked what was happening in the market, what solutions were out there, what was the problems different industries were facing. Because of course, if you're using your building for a school or for a theater, you have completely different problems. Speaking to a lot of different people in this whole market, learning a lot about the market, learning about the current solutions that were out there.
What were the major issues that you saw straight away?
I would say a big issue is that people didn't know that there was a problem, so they just assumed that their energy bill was logical and that their building was efficient. But looking in how the building management systems are set up, it's only set up once most of the times, unless something goes wrong, and a building is always used in a very different way than you first set it up.
So they never adjust the flow of energy.
Exactly. So Just to give you a small example, for example, in a meeting room, you set it up to always be 20 degrees there. You think that the meeting room is maybe being used daily, but then when you look at the whole schedule, there are only in that room maybe 3 meetings a week, while there's constantly the temperature of 20 degrees when people are there. Or when you look at the way that people are working, then you maybe set it up from 9 to 6, but you see that a lot of people are working later, and then they're suddenly in a cold room because the things shut off and are not dynamically programmed. So I saw that there were a lot of different problems within that industry. It is a very old-fashioned way to set it up like that, because we have a lot of data, we have a lot of knowledge about how buildings are being used. So why then not make sure that the building is set up in the correct way for actually the people using it.
So what actually happens for you to, like, how do you set up the system so that the customer can have the remote view and the map of the building?
Yeah.
What do you actually do for that?
What happened during my market research is that we found a party, ACS. They have been working on this software for over 10 years, a hardware software solution. What we actually do is we have a smart base. A little bit, you can compare it to a Chromecast that makes your TV smart. We have this smart base that we place on the building management system as an add-on. And the building management system speaks this language, BACnet, that we can read out. We can get all the data that we transform into a digital twin. So you can see where in the building energy is being lost, how a building is being used, and why, for example, the different heatings or ventilation systems are on or why they are not on. But what is unique about this smart base is that it's not only reading out the data, but it can actually also steer immediately from a distance the entire building. So all the data that you are accumulating and that you are learning from, you can immediately make decisions on. So we have 25 programmers at ACS that see all the data coming in, that transform it into the digital twin, get completely a clear view of what is happening in the building, and then program it in a certain way that when we want to make changes, we can make them from this online environment.
Excellent. That sounds very nice.
Yeah.
25 programmers is a lot. Did they think about connecting AI to the platform so that it's like less management for the team?
Yeah, for sure. I think looking at every industry, we need to look at AI. So also in ours, and what we do with AI, there are different things. Of course, it helps with programming nowadays, but we also have the system constantly giving us suggestions. So you don't want a building management system to make its own decisions and just steer because it thinks it makes the right choices.
You all of a sudden switch off the whole building.
Exactly. You're sitting in the cold because AI thinks this is more efficient. Yeah,
You're
that's
not doing anything.
Yeah, that's not what you want to happen.
Yeah.
But it does constantly give suggestions for us. So it looks at historic data of the building, how it was being used. And it looks at current data of the building, what is happening and what can be more efficient. Just to give you an example is we are always looking and monitoring the weather, and we are steering on the weather from outside directly within the building.
Yeah.
So we know if it is 15 degrees outside and the wind is coming from the west, how much then do you need to extra plus in the different rooms to make it the right temperature?
Right.
So instead of making assumptions and turning on and off things, it gives these suggestions that on the data that it historically has got, that it exactly knows how much you need in every room extra to get it the right temperature.
Excellent.
Yeah.
And then are you still in control of this AI? So does it ask you like, would you like to switch off this or that? And you're like, yes, sure, or no, thank you.
Yeah, for sure. So it is only purely suggestions that then we can decide on. And also it is always together with the owners. So you're not just making any random changes. because it is still a building that is being used by humans. So you want it in the perfect conditions for them while still being energy efficient. So it's a combination of listening very, very carefully to what the people are using the building for and how they are using it. And then together with these AI suggestions to make more efficient.
Excellent. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's great. Um, if we think about your clients at the moment,
Yeah.
who are those buildings? What's the purpose of those buildings that you're working with?
So ACS started this software 10 years ago, and they're now currently in around 400 buildings.
That's a lot.
We are working on new projects also together with them. And looking at the different industries, it is everything above 2,000 square meters that we do, because we can see that we can make the biggest efficiency in those buildings.
Are those the shopping centers or?
So yeah, it's very different. We do schools, we do offices, but we also, for example, are in healthcare. So if you have a building for elderly people, temperature is something that's very important.
Yeah.
You want them to have the right temperature, be in a nice environment, of course. So to monitor that and steer that correctly, we also do. You can also think, for example, of swimming pools. A lot of energy is being used, of course, in swimming pools. So you want to make that sure that that is not a waste. So, for example, with these AI models that I was talking to you about before, they came up with times that swimming pools the heating can be turned off while still maintaining the same temperature.
That's very convenient.
Yeah.
Probably saves a lot of energy as
A
well.
lot of energy, yeah, yeah, for sure. And we are also in hotels. You see that there's always a lot of waste because if you have 300 rooms, how are you going to monitor that the temperature is good in the different rooms and being used when rooms are rented off and not rented off?
Yeah, they usually just switch on the conditioner on 18 degrees and it just like goes.
Exactly, exactly. And now you can actually steer on demand, so that's a big win, I would say.
Yeah, for sure, for sure.
Yeah.
So within that time that you're currently like operating, how much money did your clients save on energy?
Now, we always guarantee that we will reduce 10% in energy. So then you also have the ROI immediately, the return on investment. But we see that most of the time we are between 20 and 40% of reduction of energy.
That's a lot.
Yeah,
per
there's
year.
definitely a lot of waste, a lot of money being spent that could be spent on further sustainable new practices within the building. So yeah, it depends, of course, how big the building is and how much energy they need. But let's say if you have an energy bill of 100,000 euros a year and you're saving 25%, yeah, you have 25,000 euros that you now can spend on something else.
Yeah.
So our return of investment is around, most of the times, between 1.5 and 2.5 years. And after that, that's just 25,000 euros extra that you don't need to spend,
Yeah.
and can spend on different practices. So yeah.
Yeah, you can hire other professionals that are actually needed in the business, right?
For
Instead
sure.
of economizing.
For
on
sure,
them.
maybe invest in an ESG manager instead of throwing the money away on your electricity bill.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's great. You're helping businesses manage their economy as well, which is good. Not
Yeah.
a lot of businesses are very savvy in doing that. So
I think in this sustainable environment, we need to make it realistic. It is, of course, always big investments and sometimes difficult to make those right choices because you also still need to have a healthy and good business. So it needs to be a win-win. There needs to be an economic advantage for them, also to motivate them, but also just because they're doing business. Yeah, what do you expect?
yeah, and they also need to adhere to some policies that the European Union is creating, right?
Yeah, yeah. No, you're
So
completely right.
How do you come across this?
Yeah, so you have the EPDB 4 and coming up. There's now the EPDB 3. And within those different rules coming from Europe, Now in the Netherlands we have something called the GACS, the Building Automation and Controlling Systems. It's a bit different from each country how they are interpreting these laws coming from Europe. But there's definitely also, together with that, the Paris Proof Agreement. So from the time when we had the Paris Conference about sustainability, there were rules about how efficient the building has to be. And for us, that's a good opener, right? Like, so this GACS and Paris Proof, when we come to buildings, they know about the problem more and more now. Before, when we started, we really needed to educate them and explain that they had a problem, what feels very weird. And now they're coming more to us, so that is nice with those new agreements.
You came right on time for the.
It's a good timing, and
changes.
it definitely helps with opening up the conversation. I feel like it should never become a must, because it is also very difficult to time these things, right? Like, if you just invested in a whole new heating system, you cannot obligate them to immediately invest again to make these sustainability actions. But
You need to take a holistic approach, sort of.
for sure. So, but it's definitely a good conversation starter, and yeah, making people aware of the problem. What I think is the biggest, the biggest challenge that we are facing.
Excellent. Thank you very much. It's very interesting what you do. And so, what are the plans in the future for the Saver?
So with Saver, we're working very closely together with ACS, what I mentioned before, and what is nice with that agreement is that we are both working on making the system always better. So when there are new rules and you need to have new reporting, we need to make it as easy as possible to create these reports and have insight in what is happening. So we are always working on the platform to make it better and easier to use, program it faster, try to make it cheaper to integrate, all these things. On the business perspective, we want to do as much buildings as possible in the shortest time. I think it is really a win-win on both sides, for the owners, but also for the people renting. The owners have the financial benefit, but also the renters when they're paying their service costs and everything. And at the same time, they're working together on creating more and sustainable buildings. So yeah, we are now talking to a lot of different bigger building associations to work together, understand their needs, and always come up with the solutions for their problems. We are working with the platform to integrate more AI, make sure that with this AI we can make even bigger reductions, and at the same time also really understand the problems of our clients.
Excellent. Well, we'll be following your journey on the way. Okay, time to have a blitz questionnaire.
Amazing, let's do it.
So those are the quick and easy questions.
Okay.
I would like you to respond without thinking.
Okay. Something I can do.
Excellent. Here we go. What is the first app you check in the morning?
WhatsApp.
WhatsApp. What's the book, podcast, or idea that shaped your thinking?
Lean Startup. It's a book about always validating your ideas instead of creating your own ideal company. Make sure you build it for other people. So validate everything.
That's very good. That's to all those visionaries. Okay. What is the favorite productivity hack?
Every AI tool at the moment that we're using in our company. Yeah.
I agree. What is the habit that you're working on at the moment?
The habit I'm working on at the moment is having a healthier stance when I'm working, because I'm always like that. So I need to be a little bit more. So yeah, that's what I'm working
helps with energy flow as well. Most underrated quality in a founder?
Communication. If you cannot communicate in the right way, and you have the vision but you cannot communicate the vision, it's going to become a very, very hard journey.
Yeah, definitely. What is a startup you admire that's not your own?
Yeah, so I have to give a shout out then to my friends Sam Spendel and Menno Elsinga for having their company Energiek.
Okay.
They grew in 2.5 years to 14 employees, giving a lot of young people the chance to really be part of a cool growing company, and at the same time helping a lot of different buildings and associations. Yeah, what I admire is their flexibility to constantly change when rules are changing.
Adapting.
So yeah,
To the
adapting to the
environment.
situations.
Yeah, nice. We'll put a link in.
Nice.
What is the biggest misconception about launching a platform?
The biggest misconception is that it's easy. When things look easy, there's a lot of programming in the back to make it look easy. And yeah, it's very, very hard to make a platform easy to use and efficient to use. And yeah, it's not as easy as people think.
Yeah, it takes a lot of time, much longer than you probably
A
expect.
lot of time,
right?
yeah, for sure.
Yeah. What was the biggest challenge for you lately?
The biggest challenge for us lately has been we are working now together with a lot of different sustainable consultants and making them translate our story and explain the story to their clients and stuff like that. It has been a challenge because it's a new software for them, and I have a lot of passion and heart for it, and to make sure that they had the same was something that took time, but now it's definitely starting to work and flow, and they're reaching a lot of people and getting our message over now. But at the beginning it was yeah, difficult.
A rocky road, as it usually is.
Always.
Right. Describe your entrepreneurial style in 3 words.
Flexible, idealistic, and realistic.
Idealistic and realistic.
I think you have to
How do
be.
you balance them both?
Yeah, I think you have to be very idealistic and see the opportunities and the possibilities, but don't get lost in them. So I think you have to have both to be aware that you are a dreamer and that you are looking at the bigger vision, but at the same time also make it into steps that you can actually follow.
Yeah, make this dream real, right?
Exactly. So that combination, I think you have to have.
Yeah, excellent. And last question for today. One word that captures the future of Savor.
Change.
Excellent. That's what we like to hear. Change is always for the better. Change is always positive. Thank you very much for today, and we look forward to seeing the great journey of Savor.
Thank you so
And hopefully
much.
bringing it into UK buildings as well.
For sure, for sure. Thank you so much. Thank you for the great questions and having me. It was really nice.
Thank you.